Dear, going to tell us what happens when creative industries meet technologies.
I just understand. Yes, I just understand what was the problem, because Victoria is on the Russian channel but speaking English. That's the problem. She could not be heard at English channel. So there are some technical issues, but now, Dr. Donk, yes, the floor is yours.
Okay. It's nice to meet you all in the internet. Actually, my name is Donghoon O, and I'm working for OSP, Office of Strategy R&D Planning of the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Energy. Okay, and I am pleased to introduce you to the Korean Ministry of Industry, Trade and Energy's Technology Development Project for the creative economy. Okay. Next slide, please. Some people can help me to the next slide. Okay, yes, I see. Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, this is contents of my presentation. Okay, what I will tell you is largely divided into three parts. Okay, first one is I will explain the background to the Korea's recent super gap technology project. Okay, second, it is about the concept and direction of a super gap project, and we will then provide the overview of areas of super gap technology and industry and the related detailed project. Thirdly, I introduced the implementation method and governance to promote these super gap project. Lastly, I'd like to briefly explain the plan for attracting the nurturing the human resources to secure the creative economy and super gap technologies. Next, please. Okay. This is a background and diagnosis of Korea's status now. Korea has, as you may know, Korea has grown into a global manufacturing powerhouse through its abundant workforce and production technologies. Okay. However, it is experiencing difficulties due to the advent of a super aging society and slowdown in R&D investment and decline in total factor productivities. So the Korean government believes that the only means to overcome this situation lies in technological innovation. To this end, the Korean government is trying to innovate the current R&D system to focus on the high risk but high value or high return research and expand open innovation. Especially, we would like to focus on global cooperation project with for example, United States and European countries and the other countries. Maybe in the near future, Russia could be a good partner of Korean R&D project. Okay, and next slide, please. Okay, now let me move on to the concept and basic direction of a super gap project. Okay, Korean government is in order to achieve great industrial transformation, the Korean government is trying to secure super gap technologies in future industries. Okay, here super gap in technology means that securing superior technology capabilities that competitors like China cannot match in these fields, okay, where Korea is leading the world. Okay, for example, semiconductors or display, or the other thing is shipbuilding. Okay. In addition, we aimed to have technological competitiveness within the world top 5 in emerging field, such as AI or biotechnology. It is also the Korean government's will to have a cutting-edge technology as a core element for the so-called the creative economy. Okay. At the same time, it leads to large-scale R&D projects aimed at achieving the industrial missions as the active industrial policies. Next slide, please. Okay, here is the, we can see that the 11 key investment areas of super gap technologies, okay? Korean government had set the 11 key investment areas, industrial sectors to secure super gap technologies, okay? This was decided by OSP, where I work. OSP means the Office of Strategy R&D Planning, with the participation of various experts, civilian experts, through the public-private partnership, okay? And there are 40 sub-projects under the 11 fields, okay? 11 fields are as follows, okay? First one is the semiconductor. Second one is the display, battery, and mobility, future mobility, and advanced materials, and advanced manufacturing, and intelligent robot, and aerospace and defense, and advanced bio, and next generation atomic power, including SMR, okay? And last one is a new energy industry. These are 11 key investment areas of Korean government, especially focused on the super gap technologies. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay. Okay, this is for your reference. This includes the 11 investment areas and the 34 missions and 40 projects. Okay. I'm sorry, but please understand that these name of missions and specific project are in Korean. Okay. But for example, you know, in the future mobility is in case of a car, we would like to, we have a kind of mission in we have world number top technological capabilities in the area of future car devices and equipment as well. So this is a kind of mission. And then in order to accomplish this mission, we have a number of projects under the mission. Okay. For your reference, okay, we believe that each project will cost approximately at least 20 million US dollars. Okay. Now let me move on to the how to implement the project. Okay. Yeah. The most basic principles. No. Backward. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yes. The most basic principle for project implementation is the selection and concentration. In the past, investments were made approximately without principles according to just the technology trend, but super gap technology is about the focusing investment with the clear strategic direction. In other words, strategy is to focus investment and manpower on technologies that are most difficult to overcome, and at the same time have a greatest technological and economic impact when breakthrough is achieved. Yeah, next, please. Okay. The second keyword for project implementation is private sector's leadership. There is a project director who will lead the project, and they will lead the project together with the Technology Innovation Alliance, which is composed of the private technology experts. We call this the project manager group. This PM group has independent decision-making power and manages and supports the mobilization of all resources and progress of research. Next, please. Okay. OSP, so my office and private technology experts are currently working on establishing specific action plans and turning them into technology roadmaps for the efficient implementation of individual project. Okay. The case presented in this slide is a plan for faster 10 world-class post-processing companies in semiconductors. Okay. To this end, it is proposed to develop 9 core technologies. Okay. As you can see here, this roadmap includes the technologies to be developed and manpower training plan for this, and plan to secure related infrastructure such as the devices and equipment. Next, please. Okay, now this you can see the governance of this project. Okay, there is a governance of organizations that will lead this project. The highest coordination organization is the SuperGap Project Coordination Committee, which monitors the progress of SuperGap project, and this committee is responsible for coordinating all resources. And under the coordination committee, we have a kind of project steering committee. Okay, the vice minister of industry, trade, and energy, and the OSP president serve as a co-chair of steering committee, which is in charge of resolving various problems that arise during the project implementation and ensuring that the project progress smoothly. Okay. Under the steering committee, there are committees such as in each field, that is 11 fields. Okay, and individual PM groups carry out the research project. And you can see, you can understand that the role, what role each participant plays through the picture and explain on the right side. Okay. For example, PM is responsible for project mining and developing detailed action plan and project monitoring and project, the management, etc. Okay. Okay, next, please. Okay. In order to create the creative economy and SuperGap project, securing excellent human resources is very important, most important. Actually, I understand that the issue of how to train creative technological manpower for the creative economy is an issue of great interest in Russia as well. I was told that the issues of human resources most important issues in the higher school of economics. Okay, so I explained these human resources problems. Okay, the Korean government is trying to solve this problem using 3 concepts. Okay, first one is it is to attract the outstanding young talent from around the world to the Korean industrial ecosystem. Okay, in other words, okay, the idea is to make the Korea's industry could be a reservoir of understanding young engineers from around the world. For example, the efforts are being made to bring excellent talent from overseas, especially from developing countries, into Korea through international cooperation R&D project or ODA, official the aid program, okay, project in cutting edge technology or key areas of Korean industry. Okay, to be frank with you, okay, now Korean society has a big problem in human resources. Okay, most of high caliber, I mean, the excellent student in high school wanted to enter the medical school. Okay, so we have a big problem how to draw the high calibers to the industrial areas is the most important thing. So we want to draw the international young high calibers from the other countries. Okay. Okay. And the other, the second one is the Korean government is trying to strengthen the STEAM education. STEAM means the STAM. S means the science. T means technology. E means engineering. A means arts. And last one, M is the mathematics. Okay, we call it STEAM education. Okay, so we strengthen STEAM education in high school and universities. Through this, we hope that Korea's talents will enter the universities, majoring in STEM fields, and that the quality of graduate school education will also improve. Okay. Additionally, the establishment and operation of a contract-based department supported by companies is the means of supplying high-quality human resources in short period of time. For example,
애플 뮤직에 복원하면서 피리어드 타임을 찾지 못했습니다.
For example, Samsung Electronics established the Department of System Semiconductors at Seongkyungwan University, and Samsung is attracting students by offering incentives such as full scholarships and employment with Samsung. Okay, and the other company, SK Hynix, also established the semiconductor department at Korea universities, and their company is providing similar incentives. Likewise, the number of contract-based departments supported by large Korean companies is gradually increasing in the fields such as mobility, AI, display, and advanced bio and secondary battery. Okay. Third one is we are strongly promoting the skill up or reskill. That is increasing the skill of the current industrial workforce. Okay. Representative example is the move toward the combining AI with the field engineers' expertise. Okay, we call this the X+ AI approach. Okay, in this way, we are educating the field scientists and engineers about digital transformation in all fields. Okay, like this, we would like to develop the human resources in the area of super gap technologies. Okay, actually, at this moment, Korea does not use the term the creative economy anymore, but creative economies, the core is that how to develop the the cutting edge technologies which can innovate the society and economics. Okay, so we are focusing on the fields of the cutting edge technologies. Especially, we have advantages in advanced manufacturing. So we would like to focus on, for example, semiconductor and display or secondary batteries. Okay. Thank you for your listening. As this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for your listening.
Dear Dr. O,
Yeah.
thank you so much for your presentation, and we have some questions.
Okay.
We have already understood that technology may be the part of creativeness, and talking about Russian approach, we include information technologies in the group of creative industries. But there are also some questions, and one of them is whether artificial intelligence (AI) can really affect the productiveness of human resources, of talents. And you have already said that there is a special Express Artificial Intelligence program. And could you be so kind to give us some more details what it means?
Okay.
Whether it is the program of substitution of some skills by artificial intelligence, or just the increasing of productiveness of people?
Okay. Actually, we have we think that regarding the AI, we can say the two approaches could be possible. Okay. First one is X plus AI approach, okay? And second one is AI plus X approach, okay? Which means that X plus AI means that we have a number of experts in the various areas. For example, mechanics and electronics and bio, something like that, blah, 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 blah. And if we add the AI solution, okay, we can make enhance the productivity of something, research or production or something like that. Okay, that is the approach one we have. Okay, second approach is the AI plus X. Okay, in case of second approach, we think that there is no competitiveness in Korea because making AI, how to say, the algorithm or something is we are very we are not advanced. Okay, in those areas, are America or the China is leading those AI algorithm parts. Okay, so those areas are not strong in Korean, the industry and or academia. So we would like to focus on, the X plus AI approaches. Okay, you understand what I mean? Hello.
Вика, у тебя микрофон выключен.
Thank you. We understand, and there is always Evgeny Kуценко with us, the head of Russian Cluster Observatory, and he wants to ask some other questions.
Thank you, Victoria. Thank you very much for your great presentations. I have two questions, and maybe I ask them just now, one after another. So the first question is about, you said that one of the priorities is new atomic energy or new nuclear power, something like that. Could you clarify what does it mean? Because I think that this kind of power now is not so popular. So the first question. And the second, I was very interested in the talent program, because we're also evaluating these programs around the world and see how nations now struggle for talents with talent visa, for example, different kind of visas, but also with soft landing. But also I see that Chinese towns like Shenzhen provide grants, and quite large, quite $500,000 per person.
Okay.
Grants for particular person which they want to be in their towns. And so could you also clarify maybe a little bit what does Korean AIDS program for talents mean? Thank you.
First one is then, recently, the president of Korea is focus emphasized that we we lead the the atomic technologies and atomic plant in the world. Okay, so now, but we have as you know, the atomic energy has a number of problems in case of the accident or something. So we would like to focus on the SMR, okay, small modular reactor. Okay, so we have a kind of a cooperation project with the United States in order to establish the SMR. Okay, yeah. So actually, we would like to export the atomic plant to, especially to the Middle East countries. Okay, so we are focused on the atomic energy, especially in the for the future. We would like to focus on the SMR because SMR is relatively, relatively not risky than the normal one. Okay, so okay, do you focus on that? The second one is that for example, as we all know, the competitiveness of the United States is that they can draw the young high calibers from the world. Okay, right? So now Korea has a difficulty to draw the young calibers from Korean young caliber. So we should seek to the alternatives. So we would like to spend a lot of money to draw the young calibers from abroad. Okay, so we provide some the scholarships, and if possible, we'd like to make the kind of global cooperation project with United States, with Japan, and with European countries, and with Russia, and with the other, especially Asia, ASEAN countries, including Vietnam or Malaysia or Indonesia as well. Okay, so through these projects, okay, we can throw the young calibers in Korean universities and Korean companies as well. For example, there are many students in Korean universities, especially in Sungkyunkwan University and Korea University and Kyunghee universities. Okay, if they got a PhD or the master's degree, they can stay here and they can work for the Samsung Electronics, work for the Hyundai Motors, work for the SK Hynix. Okay, that is our strategy. Okay, and recently the president emphasized that we should more and more money to make the global cooperation project with the foreign countries. Actually, to be frank with you, the president focused on the emphasized that the importance of global cooperation projects with the actually United States, especially the most advanced universities in the United States, including MIT and Johns Hopkins or Stanford and Yale universities. Okay, so we'd like to make the global research centers in United States and Europe. Okay, at this moment, but in the near future, we would like to enlarge the global cooperation research center program through to the other countries, including Russia and the other countries. Okay, yes, this is my answer.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. O. Are anybody going to ask questions?
Pardon me?
Is anybody going to ask any questions? Do we have any questions?
No. Actually, just I think that the 5 years ago maybe I had the seminar with the HSE. Okay, at the time that I had a good memory, so I'm participating in this webinar. Okay, by the way.
So thank you so much, and I'm going to represent our next speaker. Evgeny Kutsenko. We have already started talking about
Okay.
talent programs and soft landing. And so Evgeny is going to tell us about some patterns and secrets and helpful practices, how to attract talents to the cities. Evgeny, the floor is yours.
Yes. I'm trying. Yes, but it's, let's see. Do I succeed with that program? I'm not sure. Do you? Yes. No, you don't see my screen, I think. Yes. Do you see my screen?
Yes, we see
And
your
this?
screen.
Oh,
And this.
that's great.
That's okay.
Okay, dear colleagues, friends. Hello once more, and I want to say several words about our Global Cities Innovation Index that was published this year, and maybe focus on creative industries more. So, for those of you who is already familiar with that report, maybe my presentation won't be very interested, but next we will also present you some research applications, because we collect huge database and we're thinking how to exploit it scientifically and how to try to find something new about cities development. But I will present you some just some general things about methodology first, about general conclusions second, and about conclusions for creative industries third. Okay, yes, it's very difficult to measure innovations at the city level, and we discussed previous session about it, and Irina Vladimirovna from Web Bank said that they collect data about cities. But we from our own collect data about regions, so that maybe all we need to combine this data, but we all know that this is very difficult to combine, because at city level there are very few data, and almost zero data concerning science, technology, and innovation, because that's not the level of management at city level of these issues. Especially this problem is very severe if we are talking about cities at different countries, at different economic zones, continents. So how to compare? And even we don't have a unified measure how to define city boundaries. So what does it mean a city? So this is also could be a notion of national legislation at a particular country. So that's also a problem. So a lot of problems, and of course we tackle them. So that's the idea of this rating. So if it was a regional rating, so okay, but it's a city rating, and a lot of challenges, and for us it was also a scientific challenge. But first of all, I would like to say that from the very beginning we understand that we want to see innovation in a broad sense, like two sides of a coin. So to create something new, there could be two parts, or a third part. It means synergy between the first two. So technological part, it means that you study science, maybe you go from university or science organizations, you apply for a patent, so this innovation go to startup or corporation. So that's like linear model of innovation, so technological development. But it could be different path to create something new, invent based on your individual skills, your creativity. So, and it was not required science, but it required personal skill, know-how, so no patents, so different paths. But if you look, for example, at iPhone, you will see both ways. So many technological products have something science-based, of course, but also very sophisticated in terms of the design, for example. So technological creativity. But if we look at the city, we could see different peoples on a particular street from these different worlds of creating you. So a lot of technological, so engineers, scientists, so from technological world, but also creative people. So, and they talk to each other, and they could fertilize, I could say, each other with new ideas. And that's the peculiarity of a city, like a meltdown of technology and creative. And also, of course, open environment, which support the technological and creative people. So that is how we look innovation at the city level. So we produced a report several years ago, and now so we produced the second edition, and that is how in detail we look at the chapters of technological development, and you see this linear model. Of course, it could be not linear, so it does not matter, but all these parts should be present, so like a regional or city level innovation system. But creative industries, they don't have, I don't know, a cycle or some interconnections, so a lot of interconnections, but nothing similar to linear, and each industry has its own business models, specifics, technologies, and so on, and you need to measure it separately. And open development, so it's quite usual. So pillars that we review here. And what is the most maybe important? What was our approach? Our approach was to focus on leaders, because there are no unified statistics across the cities around the world. So we cannot calculate how many scientists or how many researchers or how many designers living in a city, because what does it mean to be a designer in London, in Beijing, in Sao Paulo? So it could be different notion and different classifications, industrial classifications, professional classifiers. And of course, this data could not be collected at city level. So yes, but so we could not calculate the mass, but we could calculate the best, the leaders, high caliber. Yes, as my colleague and previous speaker said. So we could look at high caliber, and in the world of innovation and creative industries, we need these high calibers. And if a city has a lot of high calibers, organizations, corporations, startups, persons, teams, it means that it's a prosperous. But if you have hundreds of thousands of no names, it means that maybe that's not the leading city. So you don't need a lot of technical people in, for example, in textile industry, but you need to have designers, high level designers, which help the industry flourish. Okay, so for example, we extract information from unicorns or about unicorns from startup and CBN sites, or extract information about 2,500 corporations with the highest expenses on research and development in the world. We extract information about the best universities according to the third well spread ratings, and so on. So that was our approach. And for creative industries, the same, about how to understand where the best movie study is located. Okay, extract information about the best movies from IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, and also from the world international festivals and through these movies you could find information about their movie creation studios and where they're located. So yes, it's difficult, but it was a huge work done with the help of the more than 100 trainees of HSE. So they help us, and their role is crucial to collect this data and to check it, of course, several times. So we also deal with the problems of the boundaries of cities, because yes, if you look at Moscow or at Seoul, administrative boundaries, it's okay. But if you go to United States, okay, you could evaluate all these actors at San Francisco, but stop San Francisco, but a lot of technology and creative leaders living outside of San Francisco, in Silicon Valley, and San Francisco is only a small part of this Silicon Valley. So, or Boston area. So imagine. So in USA, these administrative boundaries does not work, and you need to look at agglomerations. But how? You need a unified approach, and we applied the approach of OECD. It's called functional urban areas. It's their own estimations of the migration each day, and so we collect database about technological and creative leaders across agglomerations, and so it's a general population. It's not a sample. So we have 1,752 localities across the world with at least one technology or creative leader. And then we focus on the best 200. So because it's difficult to assess, evaluate, and write a book about close to 2,000 cities, so you need to focus, because we provide per each city a very detailed profile. So it could be seen from the book. Book is available to be downloaded in English and Russian as well. Okay, I don't go in depth at these leaders. It's kind of so not. It's not the most interesting part of the research, because everybody knows these cities. So that is why we collect a lot of data and go in depth. And our general conclusions was that all global cities buy and sell innovations, but only a small number of localities create innovations. And we call it genuine workshops of progress. So look, for example, just one indicator. So and as an example, number of leading companies by research and development, and you see how the cities dispersed. So extremely, even more dispersed these cities in terms of the number of fashion brands, tradable fashion brands, Farfetch and other international retailers. Migration of talents. Innovators are very mobile now, especially in digital sphere, and it means that it's not now enough to foster the talents, but you need to somehow retain, or maybe it's better to say to attract from around the world. And a lot of cities now try to cities and nations, of course, try to conquer for that. So now it's completely essential, because if you don't have these measures, but other nations and cities have, so you have a disadvantage. So it's even if you have a good schools, universities, it does not matter, because even for a talent, better to be outside, he or she migrate. And for example, the level of migration of the people who establish unicorns, I think it should be somewhere here, maybe later. So their level of migration is the same as for Nobel laureates. it means that these people are people of the world. Yes. And also we saw that in some cases, general understanding is that size is better, so large cities win. But if we divide the number of technological and creative leaders per population, yes, per capita, we see that small cities, of course, win, and a lot of these cities, and it means that they have also a chance. And what is unite all these small and medium innovative cities is the universities inside them. So universities and students. So these cities act as studentapolis. But also we reveal that new cities enter the ranking because we conduct measure at 2020 and 2023, and for 2 or 3 years we see new cities like Shenzhen that 30 years ago it was a village, but now it's a huge city, very innovative, in the top 5 innovative places in China. Maybe to 10, I don't know, 10, 15, I need to see the ranking in the world. So Shenzhen, let's see where it is, looks 14. So yes, it's a newcomer, and it's interesting that yes, London, yes, New York, of course, it's very difficult to conquer because that's a top cities in the world for hundreds of years. But still, you see that the newcomers are also go. And for example, India, and by the way, Seoul is also strengthening its position, so it's a very competitive city. Let's go to creative industries because our session is more focused on creative industries. And I should say that inequality is extremely, so it's very extreme. Just some figures to be shocked by them. 5, so we call it mega cities in London, New York, Los Angeles, Paris, and Tokyo. They accumulate a lot, like almost half of all creative leaders, and for example half of the leaders in fashion and architecture. So extremely uneven. So this I think that these creative leaders are even more mobile than Nobel laureates or founders of unicorns. So it means that you need to do something. So that's a challenge for cities. So now many cities understand how to be innovative. It means business incubators, venture funds, startups, and on. Corporations, science organizations, good universities. So they studied how to be competitive. But now they need to be studied once more from the very beginning, how to be attractive for creative people, what to do for them, because of course we're all creative, but there are few people who could earn a lot of money being creative. Okay, and capitals, yes, they also attract people, so difficult for you if you are mayor at a city and that's not a capital. And we see that there are still some cities which are newcomers, maybe outliers, but still could be very productive in a particular creative industries, because there are a set of many industries, and for example Shenzhen now is #1 in industrial design and on. And it means that maybe if you are not in London or New York, maybe you don't need to think about to be the leader in all creative industries, so to be super creative, but you could be very successful in particular industries. Shenzhen, why industrial? Because it's industrial hotspot, and not just industrial like Guangzhou, but innovative industries. And industrial design here is very supportive industry, but it's still creative and different kind of people involved. So you need to think about this more sophisticated, more smart strategies if you want to be competitive, creative city. And we understand also that now in this world, creative industries, it's not just, you know, painters or something like that, but these people, it's not just people of high culture, but these people want to scale up, and they require a lot of venture capital, so like startups. So, and this creative spheres is a new sphere of venture economy and startup movement. Okay, it's just some tips from our report. It's quite extensive in terms of knowledge provided, and also just want to show you that we have 13 cases of different cities, how they success in terms of the talent attractions. And for those who is interested, I just want to recommend to read this report. And so it means that we collect database, but what was done further, one of my next colleagues also explain to you. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Evgeny. And we have seen that Evgeny showed that, in fact, two strategies are possible in creative industries. The first strategy for city is gaining the global success. The next strategy is some kind of niche differentiation, focus on differentiation. And we have seen that there is a group of supernova cities challenging the world of creative industries, and they have already got the status of stars of focus differentiation, and maybe we have some chances to go into global leadership. And now let's take a closer look at BRICS countries. This is the place from whom many supernova cities come from, and Екатерина Иванова, our next speaker, is going to tell us about creative specializations of BRICS countries. So, Екатерina, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Victoria. Thank you so much. Can you hear me well? Okay.
Yes, that's okay.
Dear colleagues, hello. I'm delighted to be here today and share with you the results of our research conducted together with my colleagues from Russian Cluster Observatory. Our ambition was to capture the creative profiles of BRICS countries in their overall economic specializations based on a superstar approach. Why did we go into it? Could you kindly switch to the next slide? Thank you. First and foremost, because we are interested in creativity, which is nowadays one of the key driving forces for most world economies. Today, a lot has been said about the role and importance of creative economy, creative industries, its contribution to employment, GDP growth, exports, fostering and boosting innovation, entrepreneurship, science, technology, all of these have been acknowledged in many scholarships. And here comes the but. Next slide, please. And the but is, although the discussion over creative industries is vast and vivid, there is by far less knowledge about them in developing countries. And this is where we decided to find our research niche and to focus on creative industries in BRICS countries. According to the World Bank, today, thank you. According to the World Bank, today, 5 bloc's countries altogether are considered as 5 most fast-growing economies of the world, which means that for their advancement, the consideration of creativity and potential of creative industries is crucial and should not be underestimated. Meanwhile, we stay here on the slide, thank you. Meanwhile, to the best of our knowledge, there have been no focus studies specifically on 5 BRICS countries, or considering all the creative industries according to international classifications. I'm talking about UNCTAD, to which I will return a bit later. Probably today, the most comprehensive study on creative industries in the BRICS was issued by the International Confederation of Societies and Authors and Composers, but it dates back to 2014. Since then, no updates. Other academic coverage of creativity in the BRICS is fragmented. Either it analyzes only certain countries of the bloc, or it is industry specific. Next, please. So we decided to provide a detailed assessment of creative industries in the BRICS, and to do so, we needed some methodological experimentations and exercises. Our attempt to measure creativity is not unique, and we started with reviewing some rankings measuring creativity. With due respect to other distinguished authors, not all of them could be useful for our purpose. For example, some of these works overestimate the creative potential of a given location because the rankings consider creative class as a whole, but not all of the creative class members are able to produce creative goods or services with high market value. Or some rankings used indicators which are not directly related to creativity, like, for example, well-being or accessibility. All are important, but still. Or you see, the majority of these works do not account for all 5 BRICS countries, highly likely due to the lack of data. And so, next, please. We needed to be creative ourselves, and we needed to come up with a brand new methodology and data. In fact, Evgeny has already revealed our know-how. I will recap just quickly. So our database and our methodology in general were rooted in some basic definitions and concepts. Let me run quickly through them. We stuck to the definition of creative industries produced by the UK Department of Culture, Media and Sport. Probably it's the most highly cited definition nowadays. We also used the UNCTAD classification, which is based on the functionality of creative products, and groups them into 3 categories, which is art industries, including arts and culture and literature, media industries, including e-game industry, music and sound recording, and film industry, and finally, functional creations with architecture, advertising and PR, design, and fashion. Now, to measure creative industries in BRICS, we needed to use indicators which assess the availability in these countries, the most prominent and successful representatives of these industries, the so-called superstars, creative superstars. Evgeny mentioned talents. I'm talking about creative superstars. Imagine there are a lot of talented writers, performers, filmmakers, designers, and so on, but hardly all of them equally get the most of the world fame and fortune for their work, for their creativity. And the concept of superstar economy says that even little difference in talent and popularity may lead to huge gaps in salaries and in income. For example, in 2013, there was an example from the musical industry, according to which just 1% of performers accounted for 77% of the recorded music income, which is an extreme case of the Pareto principle. But we wanted them, creative superstars, and we needed to search for them using the indicators about which I'm going to talk, back a little later, just a little later. Yeah, I just want to highlight here who the creative superstars are in our perception. They are the winners and laureates of the most recognized and authoritative global professional and industrial contests, awards, and festivals, the top members of different industrial ratings, and the creative professionals, which can be found on internationally recognized online retail platforms. Now let's go further. Thank you. We needed to collect data about these people and enterprises. The superstars, creative superstars, can be both individuals and organizations, and we used verifiable, reliable, internationally recognized data sources such as global platforms, official websites of different professional communities, or industry-specific rankings. For example, when we searched for creative stars in fashion, we used Farfetch. Films and filmmakers, IMDb. Advertising and PR, for example, Cannes Lions. For architectures, we looked at Pritzker's, and so on. Evgeny also mentioned this approach. Altogether, 24 indicators were chosen, and let's go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So here's the full list of indicators which we used to assess the availability of superstars in the 5 BRICS countries. Let's move on. Yeah, so this is our methodological route. In fact, I've already spoken about step number 1, the creation of databases and working with indicators. What we did next? The next step was to identify the locations of every creative star, either a person or an organization in the world and in the BRICS countries. And altogether, our database included 1,356 settlements in 102 countries of the world, out of which 5 countries are the BRICS, with 85 cities from the BRICS countries. Of course, the countries included in this block are very much differentiated. We notice a 40-fold inequality in terms of their input to the world GDP. For example, 0.4% of South Africa, or 17.4% for China. So for that reason, we couldn't simply rank our countries based on absolute number of superstars located therein. So we calculated the shares of each BRICS country in the total number of creative stars in the world for every indicator. And based on our calculations, we got some results. First, we found let's get back. Thank you. Not so much. Yes, that's it. First, we got information on creative specializations of the BRICS. How we found specializations? We compared a country's share in the world creative sector, in the world pool of superstars, to this country's share in the world GDP. And in case a country's contribution to any indicator related to a given creative industry exceeded its contribution to the world GDP, then it's a creative specialization. We stay here on the slide, and we also discovered creative leadership for the BRICS countries in terms of creative industries. So a creative industry is acknowledged a leader if a country ranks first among BRICS by any indicator related to this industry. And finally, we looked at spatial distribution of creative superstars For this, we used Herfindahl-Hirschman index. For each of the BRICS countries, we looked at concentrations of creative superstars in particular cities. Now, let's continue. Yeah, we'll skip this slide very quickly. Just in general, the picture depicts shares of BRICS countries in various indicators of creative industries. And to look at some examples, let's zoom in. So please click to the next slide. Yeah, this is the first third of the table. And it shows the shares of BRICS countries in various indicators of art industries, one of three big groups, according to UNCTAD. And here, the shares of different industries by indicators is compared to the shares of a country's contribution to the world GDP. What do we see here? For example, India and South Africa both have a very modest contribution to the world pool of internationally recognized artists, 0.6%. However, for South Africa, this is still more than the country's contribution to the world GDP. That's why the color is blue. What is interesting with this indicator? Number one is Russia. Still, this is a very strong area for Russian creative sector in terms of art industries, along with literature, as we can see, 2.7%. Let's move on and take a look at the same table. Thank you. In media industries. Basically, here a nice result is for China. 22.7% of all world cyber sport tournaments are associated with this country. But Russia also has 2%. 9% of all film production companies are located in India, which is also logically understandable. Let's move on. The Bollywood factor. The final third of the large table, and it tells us about the shares of the BRICS countries and various indicators of functional creation industries. So here again, we see the confirmation for China. 19.6% of leaders of industrial design of the world are associated with this country, and Evgeny mentioned the great example of Shenzhen, which in our ranking was number one, global number one in terms of industrial designers and design agencies. So this is the confirmation for this result. Let's move on. Another figure depicts both specializations already aggregated in creative industries and not split by specific indicators, and leadership. Leadership is marked gray, so each creative industry can have a leadership status for more than one country, as this leadership criterion is to be number one by any indicator related to a particular creative industries. An interesting fact here is associated with China. China has ultimate leadership in all three subsectors, while Africa has none. We can move further. And actually, based on this table, here comes our first conclusion. We reveal uneven distribution of creative industries in BRICS countries, quite similar to what Evgeny spoke about in application to the whole world, talents of the world. So China is a leader in most of creative industries. It covers all three subsectors. And if we just, for an illustration, take a look at another slide, Next, please. Yes, thank you. I told you at the beginning that it was not a good idea to compare BRICS countries by absolute number of creative stars, but still, this is just an illustration. You see how, let's return, please. Let's stay here, thank you. We see this differentiation, huge differentiation, with China being far ahead other countries of the bloc by absolute number of creative stars in different industries. Let's move on. And this is another general conclusion of our research, is that BRICS countries still tend to specialize in, let's say, more traditional cultural industries, art or functional creations, with less focus to business-oriented creative industries such as media industries, where we have electronic games, for example, music and sound recording, or films. Probably this is the result of a catch-up pattern of BRICS technological development, probably, but still this is what we can see from our data. And the next slide, please. Please back, one slide back, please. Yes, let's stay here. One slide further. That's it, Brazil. Let's stay here. I will demonstrate to you 5 creative profiles. And this is the major practical outcome of this study. We wanted to get a deeper understanding, to make the ground basis for tailor-made policies for each of the bloc's countries. Let's start with Brazil. As already said, this is BRICS #1 by the number of creative specializations. Everything is covered. Particularly strong is the specialization in functional and business-oriented industries such as advertising and PR or architecture. We all remember Oscar Niemeyer, for example, yeah. One of the reasons we believe is the country's high urbanization level. Brazil ranks 26 by urbanization. 80% of all filmmaking is concentrated in Rio. Sao Paulo is #1 in fashion education. What's the implications further exploiting this urbanization advantages and ensuring the continuity of creative policies? What I mean by this? In our research, we also have some background for each of the countries. And what we know, what we have already learned about Brazil, in fact, their creative policy started long ago in 2011, and they have creative management plan, but one feature was traced. This is the lack of continuity. People come and go, and teams change. So probably this is one of the recommendations to ensure the continuity of creative policies. This is for Brazil. Now let's look at Russia. The next slide, please. Okay, as I've already mentioned, the major strengths of our country is in art and functional creations, but yet we have unrealized potential in media industries. It's good to say that among BRICS, Russia has the greatest contribution to the world-famous writers, internationally recognized artists, and fashion houses. As for leadership, as for the lack of leadership in media industries, well, the good news is Russia already specializes in hosting cyber sport tournaments, And what we already know, is that public support is both spread over the IT sector. Digital economy of the Russian Federation was signed in 2018. The concept of developing creative industries is a new document, 2021. So probably and hopefully all these measures will slowly improve the situation and make media industries similarly important, and Russia's contribution, let's say, to media industry similarly great as it is now in art or functional creations. This sign with cyber sport tournaments is very hopeful. Another good news is a high diversification of creative sector. We have 5 creative specializations, and they have different preconditions. For example, let's take film industry. Russia ranks second by festivals, by films which won prestigious awards at festivals. The precondition here is probably rich cultural and historical heritage. Another specialization is connected with e-games, and probably the precondition here is strong mathematical and IT educational traditions, which is also very good. Now the bad news. We calculated HHI to see the concentration, spatial concentration of creative leaders, superstars, and for Russia, we see the lowest spatial diversification of the creative sector. Let's go to the next slide for a second and then return here. Yes. So here's the results. And Russia is number 1 in terms of very, very high concentration of creative superstars in a limited number of locations. China, by contrast, has a more distributed creative sector. Now let's get back to Russia, please. Yes. In fact, the implications. To continue supporting media industries, I've already mentioned good steps taken, and hopefully it helps. And also to help more even distribution of creative sector across Russian regions. Here also we have some good results. For example, just 2 very different regions. The city of Moscow, the capital region, and Yakutia, the coldest region of Russia. Both of them acknowledged creative industries as their full priorities of their regional development. And Yakutia is highly recognized worldwide in terms of filmmaking, for example. So this is one good sign that probably more even distribution of creative sector is possible. Another good sign is more and more creative clusters appear in regions of Russia. They have the union of creative clusters. Many rural areas, old industrial rural areas, are turning into fashionable creative spaces. So this is also a very hopeful sign, which might help making the distribution of creative sector across regions more even. Let's move on. BRICS, BRI, the next, please. Next is India. This is nice. We see figures show leadership and specialization only in 2 industries, which are film industry and advertising and PR, but specifically the film industry, the Bollywood phenomenon. Overall, the Indian creative sector is supposed to be very, let's say, authentic. Mostly the talented professionals work in handicrafts, art, music, performing arts. And the governmental policies to support creativity, there are some of them, but we noticed that they are largely focused on the development of a local cultural sector. We believe that another focus is needed to view creative industries not only as the mechanism of urban and local development, but as a fully fledged business sector. What can help? Creative digitalization also, and we see the first steps in this direction. In 2015, a new governmental institution to create a digital infrastructure for creative industries was established. Let's see how it develops. But still, it's India's profile is very intuitively understandable. The Bollywood is number one. Let's focus on China now. As mentioned before, China is number one in terms of creative leadership in all types of creative subsectors. It has very strong positions in the arts and culture, electronic games, and design. And each of these industries at different times were impacted by public support, either cultural diplomacy or digital capitalism, or the specific support to create more creative spaces and districts. And this gave the results. However, compared to other BRICS countries, the creative sector in China turns out to be less important for the Chinese economy in general. We see that only 3 indicators: most traded living painters, cyber sport tournaments, and leaders of design make the contribution to the world creative sector as large or even larger as the share of China in the world GDP. What we know about China and its policy. Creative industries are already included in the 25th five-year plan, and hopefully this trend continues. So creative industries have a great potential for growth in spite of their very strong position now. And as my colleagues mentioned, Victoria mentioned this, creative industries probably can survive without public support, but highly unlikely. So our implication is to continue with this policies towards boosting the potential of creative industries in China. And let's move to the final slide. South Africa. No, not yet. South Africa. The country contributes to the global creative sector in 7 out of 24 creative indicators used in our study. Probably this is because other industries, manufacturing, high-tech industries, or knowledge-intensive business services, are not that integrated in global value chains. So probably this is why the contribution to the creative sector outperforms the contribution to the world GDP. The existing growth points in South Africa in its creative economy mainly concern arts, specifically we notice South African performance of the most popular world music albums and the most influential people in contemporary art. So this is art and functional creations measured by leaders of architecture and creative advertising makers. What we noticed when we scrutinized South African profile before we got the figures, we found that, for example, in filmmaking, for many years, South Africa not only inspired the movie directors, but also provided unique sites and locations for shooting movies. 2 films, Hotel Rwanda, was shot both in Rwanda and South Africa, District 9 in Johannesburg. But still, what we witness is that the production and distribution are from abroad in other countries, which made us think about this recommendation. South African companies and policymakers need to think about moving up in global value-added chains in creative industries. Probably participating more actively in Pan-African initiatives might help. Establishing networks within the creative sector where professionals can collaborate and use this synergetic effect. These are the very basic comments and implications that we can come up with based on our study. To recap, I believe that the 2 major takeaways of this work are, first, methodological novelties, to use the superstar approach to look at the best, yeah, and where they are located. And second, concerning the bricks, to compile, for the first time ever, to compile these creative profiles, which can help, hopefully, to tailor-made creative policies. Thank you.
Ekaterina, thank you so much for the very interesting presentation, for the so detailed presentation. And we have talked a lot today about some methodological issues, about measurement and estimation of creative industries and creative leaders and superstars. However, there is still a knowledge gap concerning a scientific explanation of the factors which really influence creative industries in cities, countries, and regions. And now we are going to talk about maybe the first our attempt to look deep into these factors using some scientific methodology and our superstar approach as well. I think that it will take. I think that I will take not so much time for this presentation. What lies inside the creative pyramid? Factors attracting creative industries in the global cities. Maybe let's start with the reason for this research. The thing is that the positive influence of creative industries on world economy is often talked about as something evident. However, we have not so many factors which directly tell us about this. However, there is a prognosis made by Deloitte, according to which creative economy could add about 30% of the number of jobs by 2030. And we think that we are some kind of creative optimists, and we think that hacking the black box of factors influencing creative sector is worth doing now. But what knowledge gaps here we have? We know that there is some kind of research, not very big group of them, but there are some authors who already tried to find these factors, but there is still a lack of a universal evaluation model of creative industries in different cities, and there is also an ambiguity in the selection of creativity factors. For example, there is a strong evidence that agglomeration factors, urbanization influence the level of development of creative industries. But other factors, for example, factors concerning economics, are not so well developed. The other knowledge gap is geographical gap, because the researchers mostly focus on a limited number of countries, and more often they look at countries. More often they look at regions, but not at the countries. So we have tried to overcome these problems and use the already explained and described by Evgeny and Екатерина creativity leaders approach, according to which we measure the level of development of creative industries in the city and in the country by the number of creativity leaders which are the residents of this territory. Then we have tried to build a so-called creative pyramid. Ekaterina has already said that there is a big difference between the persons which go into creative industries as consumers, as those who are just interested in creative world, who are creative professionals, who are workers of creative industries, and so-called creative leaders, those who have already gained some success. But how it works? How to become creative leader when you're just a part of creative class, or just interested in some creative issues. And we have elaborated the concept, the theoretical construct of creative pyramid, showing the stages of evolution of the representative of creative class and his transformation to creative leader. We believe that on the first stage, the representatives of creative class are quite equal, and the total population of them really depends just on total population of workers, of inhabitants of the territory, and it looks like some Darwinian theory, according to which the probability of some genetic mutation is quite stochastic, and the probability of appearance of one person interested in creative industries is equal in all countries, because it is just your interest. It's just psychological characteristic of person, and it doesn't really depend on some external reasons. The next step is elimination. Elimination concerns the stage in which the person understands that creative industries is quite a good place to reveal your potential. But what can influence the effectiveness of illumination process in city? We believe that illumination stage more actively comes in the cities where the proportion of young people is greater and where the density of persons is greater, because the more denser population, the more denser the population is, the more active the knowledge transfer comes. So but now we should understand that knowledge transfer is not the only factor leading to success of creative organizations and creative businesses. We should have more concrete ground. We should have more vibrant business environment. And next step is incubation process, incubation stage. And incubation stage is the stage where real business residents come to play, and where they go to the battle. And incubation phase may be negatively influenced by high rate of unemployment, by strong air pollution, when some kind of your potential residents, of potential game changers in creative industries, for example, international creative companies are not willing to come to your city because you have a bad ecological image, and it's very hard to attract international residents to your city and country. However, when we speak about some creative startups gaining only the first success and, for example, issuing the first successful collection in fashion is just the beginning. You have to verify your success, but not only one commercially successful fashion collection, but by being successful for many years. For not many, but for maybe 2 or 3 years. And this stage we call verification. And it seems to us that verification process goes quite successful in countries with really vibrant, effective, and successful business infrastructure, with high labor productivity, high GDP per capita. And this is the stage when administrative and capital status of the city, the closeness to administrative forces, can be quite helpful. So we have elaborated this theoretical concept, we have developed this theoretical concept, and 10 hypotheses concerning each of the factor showed on the scheme. And the next step of our research was statistical modeling. We used correlation regression modeling with ordinary least squares, and we have checked our hypothesis and get some results. The main result is that total population density, labor productivity, and GDP per capita are significant factors, not for all industries, but for art and media groups of creative industries. And it's not surprising for us, because media industries as industries are more presented in B2B but not B2C sector, are really influenced by the overall social economical situation in the city. we can see that art as well is influenced by GDP per capita, and this is not surprising because we know that in the base, because we know that even 2 centuries ago, 3 centuries ago, the main drivers and the main reasons for very famous artists to gain their success was the help of rich people, of political and business elites in Europe, for example. And we know that some, for example, even particular art styles, Impressionism, French Impressionism, was developed by a few group of very rich people, some Russian mecenates, for example. Then we see that unemployment rate negatively affects media industries, and it always looks quite intuitive, because media industries is a place where young people work, and great unemployment is the reason for young people to move away from the cities. Air pollution appeared to be the meaningful factor only for art industries, and it always doesn't look surprising, because we know that artists are very likely to concentrate in some art residences, which we have discussed already on our previous section. So we think that art industries should have their own infrastructure, which should be different from infrastructure for media industries, and art industries are those which can be prosperous not only in agglomerations, but in some kind of rural territories. The capital status turned out to be discussable. This factor is significant only for functional creation industries, such as design, fashion, advertising. It can be justified by the high commercialization of these industries compared to others, and also by great need for capital, for financial capital in architecture, because architects need governmental investing to turn their sometimes fantastic works into life. So we should look at these results just at the first step in explaining these factors, but I think that it could be of great interest, and maybe we should go deep in our study by widening the number of result factors, describing the results and the level of development of creative industries, but by some other factors, by some other indicators, not just the number of creative leaders, but maybe the number of creative patents, and so on. So this will be the theme of our next studies. And now I want to go to our next speaker. Our next speaker is the researcher of Russian Cluster Observatory, Victoria Shubina, and you see that with every next speaker we go deeper in details, and Victoria Shubina will tell us always also about methodological issues, but methodological issues taking account not the level of development of creative industries in regions, but the level of development of their creative policies. We have talked about the great differentiation of measures of creative industries, but creative policies are quite incomparable even in Russian regions as well. So we have made an attempt to measure the level of development of creative industries using some European approach developed by European Cluster Observatory, and we have used this approach on the sample of Russian region. Victoria will speak in Russian. So, Victoria, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Добрый день. Слышно ли меня? Виктория, меня
Yes,
слышно?
I hear the translator.
В связи с новизной креативных политик и небольшим опытом по их реализации возникает необходимость оценки полноты, непротиворечивости и актуальности таких политик. Исследование Российской кластерной обсерватории посвящено созданию методики для оценки качества региональных политик в сфере креативных индустрий, а также выявления факторов, влияющих на качество таких политик. В результате формирования базы данных креативных политик регионов России был очерчен следующий контур, включающий нормативное, правовое и стратегическое обеспечение, организационное обеспечение, региональные и федеральные меры поддержки. Мы сформировали индекс качества креативных политик, состоящий из 25 показателей, объединенных в 4 блока, аналогичные очерченному нами контуру. Так мы определяли наличие в регионе документа стратегического планирования, закона, в действующих стратегиях, а также в проектах стратегии социально-экономического развития мы определяли наличие целей, задач, направлений развития, а также показателей их достижения и отдельных проектов. В организационное обеспечение мы включили институты развития, креативные кластеры и особые экономические зоны. В число региональных мер поддержки – региональные муниципальные гранты творческим коллективам, налоговые льготы. Мы проанализировали региональные государственные программы на предмет наличия в них мер поддержки креативных индустрий. Федеральные меры поддержки. Мы оценили число победителей и получателей гранта фонда Сколково, фонда развития информационных технологий, фонда содействия инновациям, фонда кино, президентского фонда культурных инициатив, Всероссийского конкурса лучших проектов создания комфортной городской среды, а также Минпромторга, Минкультуры, Минцифры. Расчет индекса позволил провести ранжирование регионов по количеству политик в сфере креативных индустрий и сформировать из них следующие 4 группы, разделив шкалу значений индекса на интервалы от 1 до 0,5, от 0,35 до 0,49 и так далее. Что же мы увидели по результатам рейтинга? В регионах-лидерах креативной индустрии в стратегических приоритетах отражены более последовательно, чем в других группах. Они активно предлагают свои меры поддержки. Высокая активность постановки целей, задач, также участие в федеральной повестке свойственно для первых 3 групп регионов, а высокая активность в реализации региональных мер поддержки свойственна для первых 2 групп. В создании организационного обеспечения только для первой группы. Более редкими для всех регионов оказались определение показателей, планирование проектов и мероприятий, законодательное обеспечение. Подавляющее большинство регионов-лидеров по результатам нашего исследования обладает показателем ВРП на душу населения выше медианного по России. А более чем половине роль региональных центров играют крупнейшие города. Цели и задачи в сфере креативных индустрий и мероприятия, направленные на их реализацию, присутствуют одновременно только в 12 регионах, и 8 из них входят в первую группу. При этом единственный регион, в котором выстроена полная цепочка стратегического планирования, которая включает также и Институт развития, и кластер, это Республика Саха-Якутия. В 19 из регионов первой группы создан и функционирует как минимум один креативный кластер, а в 13 не менее 2. В 15 регионах функционирует Институт развития. Почти все регионы первой группы представляют льготы по налогу на совокупный доход. Большая часть из них по налогу на прибыль. В среднем регионы-лидеры вовлечены в 6 мер федеральной поддержки, тогда как остальные регионы только в 4 и 7. Абсолютным лидером по вовлеченности в федеральные меры поддержки является Свердловская область, 9 из 10. Но поскольку креативные политики в России находятся на начальных этапах развития, исследовательский интерес представляет не только дифференциация регионов по степени зрелости политик, но также и их качественные особенности или профили, формирующиеся факторы. В связи с этим среди регионов посредством кластеризации и методом К-средних были определены группы, схожие по профилю реализуемых креативных политик. В качестве критериев кластеризации мы взяли показатели отдельных разделов нашего рейтинга. Так, в первую группу регионов входят регионы, лидирующие по числу привлекаемых мер федеральной поддержки и особенно по уровню развития организационного обеспечения. Но при этом они отстают незначительно по другим критериям качества креативных политик, по нормативно-правовому обеспечению, по региональным мерам поддержки. Как вы видите, вторая группа при несколько менее развитом организационном обеспечении интересна числом и разнообразием мер поддержки, реализуемых на региональном уровне. А в третью группу вошли регионы, которым удалось сформировать нормативно-правовое обеспечение, интегрировать креативные индустрии в контур стратегического планирования. А самый многочисленный, 4-й кластер, мы включили регионы, чей вектор политик в сфере креативных индустрий пока не проявлен. Ни в одном из регионов этой группы не развивается более одного креативного кластера, а Института развития среди этих регионов не выявлено. Далее мы определили группы факторов, влияющих или способных влиять на профиль реализуемых в регионе креативных политик и, следовательно, на принадлежность к той или иной группе. Это социально-экономические условия, это культурная среда, инновационный потенциал. Сами показатели, которые мы включили в эти объединенные факторы, вы видите на экране. Мы построили несколько моделей, использовали для этого различные комбинации исходных факторов. Анализ моделей позволяет сделать следующие выводы. Формирование сбалансированной модели, то есть модели, которые свойственны регионов-лидерам, вероятно, в регионах, где у вузов, научно-исследовательских организаций и у бизнеса уже есть значительный опыт не только в научно-исследовательской и инновационной деятельности, но и в формализации получаемых результатов. Мы также предположили, что одинаково способствует разработке качественных политик как в сфере инноваций, так и креативных индустрий, высокий уровень профессиональной мотивации, инициативность, умение эффективно взаимодействовать с федеральными органами исполнительной власти, региональных управленцев. И кроме того, шансы на развитие такой модели повышают более высокий уровень урбанизации. Об этом сегодня говорили коллеги и на предыдущей секции. Далее, самостоятельная стратегия. В этой стратегии делается ставка на региональные политики. В группе в среднем насчитывается 9 видов региональных, муниципальных грантов, хотя в первом кластере их всего 5. Большинство участников этой группы реализуют государственные программы, направленные на развитие отдельных креативных индустрий. Также эти регионы представляют налоговые льготы. Самостоятельная стратегия реализуется в урбанизированных регионах, где достигнуты определенные успехи в научных исследованиях, разработках, инновациях. Более инициативными в запуске мер поддержки на региональном уровне оказываются преимущественно промышленные регионы с несколько меньшим уровнем активности в культурном секторе. Перечень регионов, которые вошли в данную модель, вы видите. Следующее. Институционалистская модель. развития, она может возникнуть там, где на фоне низкого уровня обеспеченности объектами культуры и невысокой доли постиндустриального сектора экономики региональные власти осознают потребность в диверсификации экономики за счет креативного сектора. И в таких регионах есть крупные индустриальные партнеры, планирующие совместно с региональными властями различные инициативы в сфере креативных индустрий и необходимый человеческий капитал, имеется в виду как раз студенты. Однако в целом менее развитая городская жизнь несколько мешает системе поддержки креативных индустрий заработать в полную силу. Как вы видите, показатель по урбанизации здесь получается ниже. В этот кластер вошли 2 из 3 регионов, принявших региональные законы, направленные на развитие креативных индустрий. И только среди этой группы встречаются регионы, где креативные индустрии одновременно выражены в профильных концепциях и среди приоритетов и индикаторов региональных стратегий социально-экономического развития. Но это преимущество пока не полностью реализовало себя в привлечении мер федеральной поддержки. И одной из причин этого может быть меньшая доступность информационно-консультационной поддержки, оказываемой институтами развития креативных индустрий, которую здесь значительно меньше, чем в первых 2 группах. Приведенный анализ показал, что формирование креативных политик в регионах представляет собой сложный процесс, на который оказывает влияние и общий уровень социально-экономического развития территорий, и мощность культурного сектора, и активность реализации культурных политик, а также готовность региональных властей перенимать успешные политики из других секторов и регионов. Но несмотря на то, что политики в сфере креативных индустрий являются новым направлением для региональных властей, на сегодняшний день, как мы уже выявили, складываются несколько моделей их реализации. И исследование показало, что сбалансированной политике способствует развитию в регионах научно-исследовательской деятельности, инноваций в целом, а также урбанизации. Я думаю, с этим согласятся и мои коллеги. Для сбалансированных регионов рекомендуется развитие региональных мер поддержки. Для самостоятельных – пилотное участие в федеральных мероприятиях, направленных на современные креативные индустрии. Для институционалистов – формирование организационного обеспечения. А спящие могут перенимать опыт других регионов, пока еще не определились со своей моделью развития. И полученные в ходе исследования выводы могут быть использованы при совершенствовании федеральных и региональных мер поддержки креативных индустрий. Спасибо за внимание.
Не работает. Вообще. Так, подожди, это русский канал на английский.
А тебе не сделали еще.
Угу.
Ты их не слышишь, да, сейчас?
Нет, не слышу. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very excited to open the discussion part of our session. Is anybody willing to ask questions to our speakers? Does anybody have any comments?
Hello. Was there a question?
So if we don't have any questions, let's close our discussion.
Hello, I received a note from Victoria.
So if we don't have any questions, let's close our discussion. Thanks to all our speakers for their interesting presentations, and have a good day.
Thank you. Great presentations. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Екатерina, for being so optimistic. Have a good evening as well.
Yes, likewise. Thank you. Goodbye.